Steph Curry had just finished a practice when he decided to stop by a pharmacy to pick up some items for home. As he walked through the aisles, he overheard a heated argument near the counter. A harsh voice said, "You need to leave. You can't just hang around here." On the other side, a black man, dressed simply, held a bottle of medicine in his hands and tried to explain himself. "I'm just waiting for my prescription to be filled," he replied, visibly uncomfortable. The employee, with an impatient expression, shot back, "I don't care. If you're not buying anything right now, you need to leave." Steph immediately stopped, observing the scene with a mix of disbelief and indignation. He moved toward the counter, placing a hand on the man's shoulder and calmly saying, "Is something wrong here?" The employee, surprised by Steph Curry's presence, attempted to justify himself, but the tension was palpable. What the NBA star did next would not only change the course of that moment, but also inspire everyone who witnessed the incident. Steph looked at the employee firmly, but without losing his composure. "Why are you asking him to leave?" "He seems to be waiting for something important," he said. The man, who Steph learned was named Darnell, held up the bottle and added, "I'm just trying to get medicine for my daughter. She's sick." The employee became visibly nervous and responded defensively. "He's been here for a long time, pacing back and forth. It's store policy to avoid suspicion." The excuse did not convince Steph. Suspicious? Because of what? He's buying something. This has nothing to do with store policy, and you know that. Silence hung in the air as other customers watched the scene. Darnell, clearly embarrassed, whispered, "It's okay, sir. I'll just leave." But Steph placed his hand on his shoulder, looking directly at him. "No, it's not okay. You have the right to be here just like anyone else." Steph asked to speak with the pharmacy manager. While they waited, he kept Darnell to the side and inquired about his situation. Darnell explained that he had 2 jobs to support his daughter, who was in need of the medicine urgently. "I just wanted to sort this out quickly," he said, looking down. The manager arrived minutes later, and Steph explained the situation. This man was just waiting for a prescription. He was treated with disrespect for no reason, Steph said, not raising his voice but with firmness. The manager, embarrassed, apologized to Darnell, but Steph knew that wasn't enough. After the manager resolved the prescription and handed the medicine to Darnell, Steph asked to speak with the employee who had caused the problem. "Do you know what you did wrong?" he said, looking directly into the man's eyes. The employee, still nervous, mumbled, "I was just doing my job." Steph wouldn't let it slide. "Your job is to treat people with respect. What you did wasn't about store policy. It was a judgment based on appearance, and that has consequences." Other customers, who were still following the situation, nodded in agreement. As the employee remained silent, Steph returned to Darnell, now calmer. "Are you okay?" he asked. Darnell nodded, but it was evident that the embarrassment still affected him. Steph then did something unexpected. He invited Darnell to grab coffee at a nearby place. "Come with me. I want to know more about you," he said, surprising everyone who was watching. Sitting in a coffee shop, Steph learned the full story of Darnell. He worked as a delivery driver during the day and did shifts at a warehouse at night. "Life has never been easy," Darnell said, "but my daughter means everything to me. It's for her that I endure all of this." Steph felt the strength of that man. He knew that many people like Darnell faced similar situations every day. Moments of humiliation that often went unnoticed. This can't keep happening, Steph thought. He decided that he would first use his influence to do more. After hearing Darnell's story, Steph Curry knew he needed to act in a way that went beyond that moment. He took a photo with Darnell, both smiling with the medicine in hand. "Can I share your story?" he asked respectfully. Darnell hesitated but agreed. "If this helps others not to go through what I went through, you can share it." That same night, Steph went to his social media and posted the photo with a powerful message. Today, I witnessed something that happens every day, and that, unfortunately, many ignore. Darnell is a hard-working father, a dignified man, who was treated with disrespect in a pharmacy simply because of who he is and how he looks. This isn't store policy. This is prejudice. And we need to do better. Respect is basic. It's the least we can do. Let's reflect and take action. The post quickly went viral. Thousands of people commented, supporting Darnell and thanking Steph for bringing attention to the situation. Others shared similar stories, showing how silent prejudice affects so many lives. The hashtag #YandiRespectIsBasic began to gain traction on social media. Meanwhile, the pharmacy where it all happened was pressured to respond publicly. The management issued a statement apologizing to Darnell and announcing that it would implement mandatory diversity and inclusion training for all employees. When Steph saw the statement, he knew it was a step in the right direction, but not enough. He reached out to community leaders and local NGOs to plan something bigger, something that could turn that moment into a firm initiative. At the same time, Darnell began receiving messages of support from strangers. "I never imagined someone like me could inspire so much," he told Steph, emotional. But while things seemed to be calming down, a surprising twist occurred. The employee who had humiliated Darnell reached out to Steph's team, requesting a meeting. Steph accepted the employee's request and arranged a meeting at a local community center. Darnell was invited but chose not to attend, saying he still needed time to process everything. He admitted he wasn't sure if he was ready for it. Steph respected his decision and assured him that he would act with firmness. The employee, whose name was Kevin, arrived nervous and ashamed. He began by apologizing for what he had done. He confessed that he was raised in an environment that taught him to distrust certain people. He clarified that he wasn't saying this to justify himself, but to explain the origins of his attitude. Steph listened attentively and responded that recognizing the mistake is the first step, but not the last. He told Kevin that he had the opportunity to learn and be part of the change. What would he do with that? With a choked voice, Kevin expressed his willingness to participate in inclusion training and his desire to volunteer in a community project. He stated that he needed to be better. Steph saw sincerity in the man's words, but knew that actions spoke louder than any apology. He decided that Kevin could help with the initiative being planned, an awareness program called Respect is Basic, aimed at educating companies and communities on how to combat prejudice and build more inclusive environments. Steph told Kevin that he would have the chance to be part of the solution, but it was up to him to prove he was committed to it. Kevin accepted the challenge, and Steph began to articulate the program with more vigor. He knew that the impact of this initiative could change many lives, including Darnell's. With the support of local NGOs, educators, and businesses, Steph Curry officially launched the Respect is Basic program at a public event held in the same community center where he had met Kevin. The goal was clear: to raise awareness among companies and individuals about the impact of structural racism and more inclusive practices. Steph took the stage before a diverse audience, made up of community members, business people, volunteers, and the media. He began by stating that what happened to Darnell was not an isolated case. It happens every day, everywhere. But what they could do was reflect, learn, and act so that such situations would not be repeated. He presented the pillars of the program: diversity training in companies, psychological support for victims of discrimination, and initiatives to create professional and educational opportunities in marginalized communities. The program would also feature testimonies from people like Darnell, who had lived similar experiences. To everyone's surprise, Kevin, the pharmacy employee, took the stage accompanied by representatives from the pharmacy. With a trembling voice, he publicly confessed his mistakes and thanked Steph for the opportunity to learn and be part of the change. He stated that he learned that respect should be the starting point, not something we choose to give to some people, and not others, earning respectful applause from the audience. Kevin's speech moved everyone, but it was Darnell's testimony, who showed up at the event at the last minute, that brought tears to many eyes. He said he thought about giving up that day, but seeing someone like Steph fight for him made him realize that his voice mattered. This program would ensure that no one else felt invisible like he did. Steph closed the event with a powerful message. Small actions create big waves. We cannot change the world all at once, but every action counts. Respect is the minimum, and we need to start now. The event's impact was immediate. Companies began to adopt the Respect is Basic program, and local schools requested that the training be implemented to educate future generations about empathy and inclusion. In the following months, the impact of the Respect is Basic program was transformative. Over 50 companies committed to implementing training and inclusion policies, while volunteers began to work in vulnerable communities to provide education and support to families. Darnell became a symbol of the fight for respect and equality. Inspired by the support he received, he began working as a volunteer speaker in the program, sharing his story and helping others find their voice. He stated that he went through that, but he wouldn't let anyone else go through it. Kevin, for his part, kept his promise. He became an active advocate for the program, organizing training at the pharmacy where he worked and ensuring that situations like Darnell's would not be repeated. His transformation showed that change was possible when there was a willingness to listen and learn. Steph closely monitored everything, moved by the results. In a national media interview, he said that this program was not his. It belonged to the community. It was about acknowledging our failures, facing discomfort, and choosing to act differently. At the end of that year, Steph invited Darnell and his daughter to a Warriors game. Backstage, while holding the little girl's hand, Darnell let slip that Steph changed his life that day. But more than that, he showed him that he had value. "Thank you." Steph, with a genuine smile, replied that Darnell had always had value. The world just needed to see it. The inspiring story of an incident at the pharmacy became a national movement, proving that moments of pain can be transformed into opportunities for change. Respect is basic, and every action counts.